Rop Podcast with Marco Perazzo and Tim Carpenter. The podcast for the true martial artist.
I'd like to start off this week's show with an injury report. Tim will be on the shelf for 3 days with what looks like a neck injury. His head and shoulders are moving in one giant unit.
I'm not on the shelf. I'm good.
Not on the shelf?
I'm good.
All right.
My neck hurts, but
Devin Wade continues to be on the shelf. He had recent visit to his doctor. Some Asian woman was your doctor, right? She was checking your anus. He also has some sort of weird infection in his finger. He'll be out for 3 more weeks.
Are they related?
Hey, we asked the deep and cutting questions here. So Devin will apparently be out for at least another 2 to 3 weeks. This is for all the bettors in Vegas, as if they're setting lines for training sessions.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the challenge match again.
What challenge? No. He's on.
We got any beef this week?
Continue to beef with the Andocast.
I thought you squashed it.
No, it's not squashed until I get on the show and set some of the
wrongs.
Right the wrongs. Exactly. You are listening to the Ninja Rod Podcast. I am Marco Perazzo here with my good friend and equal partner co-host.
That's good.
Yeah.
Like that. Tim Carpenter. That's my name. It's Tim Carpenter.
And big announcement. We're going to start the show off, other than the injury report, assholes that are inflamed, fingers that are infected. That
Speaking
have nothing.
of assholes, Marco and I are doing a seminar together.
Yes, we are. On November 17th at New Jersey Martial Arts for all the fans. We want to give back to all the fan that listens to the show. Tim and I will be doing a seminar at my school. I think it's just a little bit more centrally located to the Philadelphia area. And it'll be on Sunday, November 17th. If you go to ninjarob.com/seminar, you have to pre-register for it just so that we know how many people will be there. And if we have to cap it, we'll cap it and we'll let people know.
We should make a Facebook event too.
Oh, it'd be amazing. It'll be an amazing Facebook event. It'll be like the raid on Area 51.
How did that go?
I want to see a bunch of people Naruto running.
What's Naruto running?
You don't know what Naruto running is? Look, Google search Naruto running.
I don't have time for that.
That's how they were going to.
Very busy schedule.
So yeah, so the seminar, I believe, we haven't decided. We could talk about this on air. Gi or no gi?
I don't know. Maybe we should let the fans decide.
No. We don't want to give them that much responsibility. I say we go with the gi.
Gi? Okay.
Yeah.
Gi. Gi it is.
The gi it is. Tim and I will be teaching. I'm going to be showing 2 or 3 techniques, some things that I think would be very effective, but also some techniques that maybe not a lot of people either know or use. And I've had some of my students use something from cross-side top, a submission that's not very common, half guard sweep.
You already have your whole menu planned out.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it. I usually come up with it on the spot.
Gotcha. Half guard sweep that I've used effectively. My students have used effectively. I learned that actually from Noah Spear, so we'll give him some credit on that.
So you're going to teach a half guard sweep?
I'm going to teach an arm lock from cross-side top that's not very common. I'm going to teach a half guard sweep from when you're on bottom, and I'm going to reapproach, and some people have probably seen this, just some finishing mechanics of the triangle to make your triangle tighter. So if you want to, if those 3 things interest you, come and learn them.
Okay. I need to come up with 3 better things to teach.
I don't know if you can come up with 3 better things, but maybe equally as good.
I'll do half guard sweep defense, defense from bottom cross-side.
Right. Did you say beef fence?
Defense.
Okay.
And the triangle defense as well, to avoid the finishing mechanics.
Right. I love how that's become part of the jiu-jitsu lexicon, finishing mechanics.
Yeah. A lot of stuff. It's like people watch the John Danaher stuff, and everything's systemized and
system within
and
a system.
There's all sorts of lines around your body, of elbow lines and knee lines.
He escaped the knee line. Yeah. That's my new favorite.
But it's good. Like I think you do need to have it's way better than going by the 10th planet system of naming moves.
Meat hook, London,
crackhead control.
Yeah.
So
I think Danaher uses a lot of Japanese terms, right?
Yeah.
In some cases.
Yeah.
Ashigarami.
Yeah. I think that just means leg entanglement.
Is that what
leg lock?
Or is ashi foot?
Yeah.
So fucking unprepared for today's show. It's great.
Yeah. No, this is good. This is good.
Yeah, on the fly. So I listened to the latest episode of Josh Hinger and Keenan Cornelius, where Keenan talks about how he's suffering through viral pink eye and blah, blah, blah. And he trained at Danaher's, and if you listen to him, he's got, it seems like he's got some respect for what Danaher's doing, clearly, because he's going over there to train. But he's also making some claims that they're doing something, that John's doing something a little bit different.
Like what? What's he doing?
It didn't quite quantify it, but the things that they're doing there aren't exactly what it seems like 99.99% of the jiu-jitsu schools in the world are doing. It's like very specific to what John is teaching.
I don't understand what you're saying.
So what John is showing, how he's showing it, it's just not what you're seeing at any other jiu-jitsu school. Like he's the only guy. He
teaches in a specific way.
He's teaching in a specific way, but he's also teaching aspects of techniques that people probably seems like they've never taught before, right? Where you saw some of the finishing mechanics again, like on his triangle, where it was. I've only ever seen it one way, and he's showing it. Even though it's a slight difference, it was a big difference.
Yeah, I think that's one of the. I've seen a bunch of his videos, and that's
you bought them all.
I don't know if I bought them all, but
Okay.
I've seen some of them, like I said. And that's one of the coolest things. Is like a lot of his stuff is not earth shattering, like it's not new stuff. It's basically all stuff that we've all seen or done before.
Right.
But he'll show you he just like a simple thing is like using a closed grip is what he talks about, where it's like a grip on the wrist is like open on one side, but if you hold it with like a sandwich, then it's like a closed grip, so it's closed on both sides. Like that kind of stuff is I find like interesting.
Holding it like a hoagie, you mean?
I mean, you can hold all kinds of things like this. I don't know what Yeah,
because I hold a sandwich like this. I hold a hoagie like this.
Well, what isn't a hoagie a form of a sandwich?
See, when I think sandwich, and I know we're getting off.
You
we're
think
getting off
like
topic.
square bread.
Exactly.
What about a focaccia roll or a Kaiser roll? Is that still a sandwich?
Yeah, but I wouldn't hold a Kaiser like I hold a hoagie.
Yeah, but a hoagie roll is still a sandwich. You're just talking about different forms of rolls.
I know,
they're all
but
sandwiches.
But I think John Danaher would appreciate the fact that if we were talking about his closed grip,
The sandwich line.
the sandwich line he would be very specific in the language.
You must clear the bread line.
Oh man, this is not white bread you're using here. You're using a Cash's roll. So, yeah. So, like you're saying, I don't think they're doing anything different. What it feels.
But he didn't give any examples though.
Not really. I was hoping that he would. That's why I specifically listened to this episode, because it was his first episode back from having gone to New York training with those guys, and I was hoping to get some insight into some of the things that they might be doing there, just from a fan standpoint,
right.
not for anything else. And he was just saying is like they're doing different things, and he keeps around. And he said this before, that Gordon is the only guy that does John's system perfectly, and that's why he's able to get the success that he can get.
Yeah, and anytime there's always going to be another Gordon Ryan in like another year or two, a guy that comes out of and he might come from a gym you never heard of,
right? And
then that gym they'll have the guru that everybody wants to buy their DVDs. I doubt that whoever this next guy is going to be as sort of like eloquent and concise as John Danaher is when he speaks, but there's a lot of ways to do things right.
Yeah. So and it's crazy interesting with what they seem to be doing, because like if I were to take a guess on how they've developed what they've developed, it's based on hours of experimentation, of not kind of taking what maybe a lot of people have taken as dogma of jiu-jitsu, saying this is the mount, this is how the mount works, and saying, hey, is there a different way to approach this position to make it better? And it sounds like he spends a lot of time on the mat, or he spent a lot of time on the mat and a lot of time working through different positions to see what can improve either the finishing mechanics or, coming up with stuff like the knee line and that kind of stuff.
But I think we all have those too. Like we just might not spend as much time putting it into words, or like, breaking it down and translating it to other people. But everybody has their own little variation of everything.
No.
And I think a lot of what Danaher does is that, because there's things that he'll show that like they just don't work if your arms aren't long enough.
Right.
They just,
or you're not strong enough, maybe.
Right. Like there's a lot of things that, just like every other technique that's been taught, like not everybody can do it.
Right.
Like some people, if you're 5'2" and 240 pounds, you're probably not going to be able to pull off a triangle on anybody.
Right.
Especially not your weight class.
So it seems like he's firmly, when you watch other people's DVDs from a high level, you're like, this is a way you could do it, right? When Danaher talks, he talks, this is the way this is done. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's no kind of wavering from, like, he's not saying that he's not outwardly saying that all the other ways are wrong. What he's saying is this is the only right way, is the feeling that I get when I watch him teach.
Yeah. And he says, even he's like, you can a poorly applied choke will often work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you can muscle your way through. He acknowledges that in a lot of stuff he teaches. He just talks about like how you want to have it as precise as possible.
Right, and that takes a lot of time. Mm-hmm. Right? Time drilling, and then drilling in a very specific way with increased levels of resistance and running it up like a flagpole.
He's a PhD in philosophy?
I don't think so. He never received his PhD. Okay. He was in the PhD program, but didn't get his PhD.
And that's where you can see like he's basically like made his jiu-jitsu. He's like a professor, like a real professor of jiu-jitsu.
What do you mean real professor?
Like a guy that has professorized his jiu-jitsu.
I feel like you're attacking me.
No, it wasn't about you, but like the word professor gets thrown around a lot for some reason.
So let's get into that. Am I not a professor?
I
was given that.
No, you're definitely not a professor.
But I was.
You call yourself a professor.
I've never once called myself a professor.
I believe that's not true, but I'm not gonna. We don't need to go into that.
We've gotten.
Do you want to go into it?
No, it's almost like we've gone through therapy because we fight so much less now.
I know. But this isn't a fight. This is just. I mean, you are. I'm not going to say that you're lying.
Okay.
But you are 100% wrong that you have never called yourself the professor.
I've never called. So hey, I'm Professor Marco Perazzo from New Jersey Martial Arts, calling you about that. That I've said.
So right? You have called yourself professor.
So in
social
social conversation, I've never introduced myself as the professor.
Okay, that's not what we're saying. You still called yourself the professor. We didn't get down to that detailed of a definition.
I'm going to get granular with it.
I'm sorry, we're not getting granular. We're macro? Are we macro?
We're going broad strokes.
All right.
So, okay. So going back to Danaher. So it feels like what those guys did, and I think it was Eddie Cummings and Tonin in the beginning, right, is almost like as in watches, right? Like you can wear a Seiko, and a Seiko is a fine watch and it tells time, or you can wear this crazy expensive watch. And what's the difference, right? The craftsmanship, but also what they say, and I learned all this from JB, is the complications in the watch, right? Like what makes it do what it does, but in a more complicated way, right? And what they've done is they've made it more complicated, but kept it equally as effective, right?
I don't know about that.
You don't think it's as effective, or you don't think it's as complicated?
I don't think it's as complicated.
Well, the leg game seemed like it was very complicated until the information was put out there, and where a lot of people were able to kind of reverse engineer it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. There's a lot of stuff, like I tend to learn more from watching people compete than watching, and I learned a lot of stuff watching his guys leg lock people, and then I watched some of his leg lock DVD, and it was stuff I had just basically gleaned from watching. You know what I mean? You can see a lot of like what they're doing.
Right, reverse engineering, right? Like the big thing that I always thought that they were very good at is what he calls double trouble, right? Is controlling the
both legs,
yeah. Which was an idea that takes the spinning aspect of it away. You know, the standard defense from heel hooks for a long time was you just spin out of it, and they can't do anything to you.
So maybe more complicated. I don't know.
I mean, I think it could be if you were to look at it, especially if you're putting that much time into it. And listening to Keenan talk about Gordon, where and he said this before, is like Gordon's the only guy that does John's system perfectly. So then is that a fault in John's system? because everyone.
No.
Okay, I'm just
He's the only one that does it perfectly.
right.
And he doesn't do it perfectly. He's lost.
Right.
I mean, people seem to forget that all these guys that are the best in the world have also lost to other guys that aren't considered the best in the world.
So another thing that came, we got a lot of our content from Josh Hinger and Keenan Cornelius is talking about the no-gi specialist versus the.
They talked about it?
They did.
What did they say?
So they seem, I think more so Keenan was talking about how the guys are training so much no-gi that they can use some of these more intricate positions because they're focusing, these more complicated positions, they're focusing on them more because they have more time to get in on them, right? You know, the training time, but also the positional sparring time, and that there might be the push is that we might be seeing the gi guy, the no-gi guy, and eventually that fork in the road splits even further where your gi guys are not also dominating in no-gi.
Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, we don't know, but we can theorize on do you think that will continue to happen? Because if that's the case, like Gordon Ryan got double gold, right? And a guy like Buchecha got double silver, I think, or you got bronze and silver. So splitting time, he's almost as good as Gordon Ryan,
right?
At no-gi.
Roger Gracie also got double gold with all submissions,
right?
So you could say he's the no-gi goat, and the gi goat. He's just the goat, you know. So I don't know. So far, Gordon Ryan's the only no-gi guy that's been able to pull that off.
Pull what off?
The double gold.
Oh, the only no-gi only. Okay, yeah. Jeff Monson didn't win.
Never won the absolute.
Never won the absolute. Gotcha.
Or maybe, no, I don't think he ever won the absolute. He won his weight class.
And
Marcelo, another guy.
Segue in from Jeff Monson into Nicky Rodriguez.
What about him?
Very similar.
Did you watch his match?
Which one?
Against Pat Downey.
I did not. Did you watch it?
Yeah, it's awesome.
How fast was the 12-point score?
It finished in the second period, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was first 2 minutes. I think he scored 8, and then he scored another 4-point takedown. That was it.
Yeah, okay.
But I think he scored 4 points off of big takedown in the beginning, and then he scored, I think, 4 points off of push-outs.
Okay.
And then another big 4-pointer.
Now, what was it pretty clear that he was outclassed by Downey? Was the guy's name?
Yeah.
Pretty clear that he was outclassed, or was was it competitive at all?
It wasn't competitive at all.
Really?
Yeah. Like Rodriguez didn't get anything offensive off. I don't think he was getting pushed around. It was interesting to see because I think Downey weighed in, or Downey was like 204 maybe, and Rodriguez was like 230 something.
Okay.
But it was interesting to see a much smaller guy just overpowering a bigger guy.
Stronger, more athletic, you think too?
I don't know if he didn't. I mean, it just looked like he was superior. Like he just kind of like got a hold of him, and Rodriguez couldn't do anything.
Gotcha.
It was interesting to see.
Yeah, and
but it also goes to show you because I saw Rodriguez in the East Coast trials get out wrestled by a purple belt from Marcelo's.
Okay.
Like the guy was clearly a pretty good wrestler, and then you see Rodriguez. He did very well in Abu Dhabi, but he did well against jiu-jitsu guys, not against guys that could wrestle.
Right.
You know.
Because Sanchez is not a wrestler; he's just a jiu-jitsu guy, right?
He's a jiu-jitsu guy that's very short and heavy. It's hard to take down.
Right.
So he might have had some wrestling, but he's not a wrestler.
Right. Not like a Downey or whatever.
Right. And I don't even think he's good at wrestlers like Buchecha or Kainan is.
Okay.
You know, because Kainan took Rodriguez down.
Yeah, and I mean, so a lot of respect to Rodriguez because regardless of what you think and or say about the kid, he's been training jiu-jitsu for 14 months. He's competing.
That's untrue.
Well, however long he's been training. He's been grappling for a long time, but he's been
doing jiu-jitsu. When was that? I have to confirm with Steve Wilson. Whenever he did that Toys for Tots tournament, we saw Nick Rodriguez competing in a gi tournament in the purple belt division. And this was like over 2 years ago, I believe.
Okay, so you're calling Nick Rodriguez a liar.
It seems that I'm not calling him a liar. Just like I'm not calling you a liar. I just think maybe he's off on his calculations.
Off by over 20 months.
I believe so. Because even if I considered that day of him competing and he won the purple belt division.
Okay.
with a double leg. He double legged the guy, and the guy tapped out.
The guy tapped out mid double leg or like after
they hit the ground.
Okay.
Yeah. It was impressive. Like he was even back then he was impressive. But it seems the longer he trains, the less amount of time he has trained.
So where was his Toys for Tots?
It was in Jersey.
Oh, was that the South Jersey BJJ? Because that's where he's been training for, with Jay Regal Budo and those guys over there. So I think they would know how long he's been training. And they're the guys saying.
Maybe that's how long he's been training there.
Okay. So you think he came in with 20 more months of experience? I
don't know how much. I'm not putting a timeline on it. I'm just saying I saw him competing in a purple belt gi jiu-jitsu tournament.
But you don't know if he was doing jiu-jitsu at the time.
He did jiu-jitsu that day.
But he may not have been an active student anywhere. Just a guy came in with wrestling.
He could have been a guy that wrestled his whole life, and him and his buddies did some submission grappling on the side, learned some jiu-jitsu DVDs. But the guy knew jiu-jitsu. The guy's been doing it a lot longer. It's misleading to say the guy, he's only been doing it 18 months.
Well, I mean, according to what his coaches are saying, they say he's been doing it for 18 months.
And like I said, the longer he trains, the less he trains.
He's a Benjamin
it's
Button.
Cool. I mean,
he's a Benjamin Button of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, exactly. But no matter what, he's impressive. Even if he had been training his entire life, what he did is impressive.
Right. I like the nickname he's gotten, like the black belt slayer.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's I don't think he slayed any of the black belts. Like he's the black belt beater.
I don't know. I think the way he, I don't know. I like the way he sort of demoralized the guys.
That's impressive. Yeah. He was very, very impressive with his belief in himself in his first 3 matches. I don't think he had the same belief in the finals. If you looked, it just didn't seem like the same guy when he was going up against.
That's one of the things I found extremely interesting about that match is that, because we were talking this week about Abu Dhabi. Some guys were like, "Man, I can't watch that shit. It's so boring." And I was like, I watched that match like 5 times.
Okay.
Because I find it interesting to see a guy that Rodriguez had like gotten everybody that he went against caught up in his sort of spazzy slapping matches.
Right.
And like trying to like out scramble him and stuff, and kind of just lulled him into like a slower pace match and ended up like easily controlling him basically, So it was cool to see a guy sort of tame that animal that Rodriguez was sort of trying to portray. Rodriguez's stuff wasn't like working against him.
Right.
Like he was trying to get aggressive and pushy, and then Duarte just kind of like held his ground.
Because if I recall all of his matches, there was not an offensive point scored for him. It was when he took Orlando's back, it was more of a snap down to his, you know what I'm saying? Not off of a shot or anything like that. I guess that would be considered an offensive point, but he didn't shoot in on anybody and got any takedowns, it looked like.
No.
Out of bounds maybe, but not inbounds. And I didn't see the Cyborg match, but I heard that Cyborg went ballistic after he lost to him.
Yeah, so I thought Rodriguez won. In general, I usually give it to the guy that was on top.
Okay.
But Cyborg, it was basically like a completely even match.
Okay.
Cyborg picked him up and slammed him. And in the scramble, Rodriguez tossed him and slammed him.
Okay.
Then there was a scramble. One time, Rodriguez got behind Cyborg in a scramble, and Cyborg got back to his guard.
Okay.
And another time, Cyborg got behind Rodriguez, went to take his back, and then had an armbar on for a second. So it was like the only submission attack came from Cyborg.
Okay.
But other than that, it was basically a completely dead even match.
So the way
with Rodriguez on top.
Hinger was talking about the how they go over the rules. They go, the initiator of the offensive technique gets the imaginary point for the ref's decision. So they were saying that if you shot in on me on a double and I countered with a guillotine, you would get the imaginary point, not me for going for the guillotine, because I'm using the guillotine as a defensive technique to get out of the double.
Which is interesting because in the finals of Buchecha and Gordon Ryan at the Open, Buchecha snaps Gordon down into a front headlock. Gordon goes in on his leg and holds his leg for a few seconds and then pulls guard.
Right.
So you could almost say that Buchecha initiated a takedown and ended up on top of Gordon.
Right. And it looked like Gordon used the rule set very well to not get penalized for the guard pull.
Yeah, you have to wait 3 seconds.
Right.
To not get penalized. So, but Buchecha initiated the action that got him on top of Gordon.
I know in the beginning, and I wonder if they used the beginning of the match, the sweep to mount. Would that be considered part of the imagine?
Sure.
Yeah, because that And the cool thing about that, and they reference this on the Hinger Keenan podcast, is the sweep he used is the same sweep that you see John Danaher showing to Hyen and Henzo in that old school Gracie video where you see Henzo getting ready for a fight, training with Hyen, and they look like they're street fighting. And then Danaher showing the spine lock, but he's also showing
he shows that sweep?
That same exact sweep.
Cool.
Yeah, the thing's like 20 years old.
Yeah. But that sweep is hundreds of years old.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying is like it, and still worked, and and they were using that as an example of a no-gi technique, or somebody was using that as an example of a no-gi technique that is a bit different than what you would use in the gi.
Yeah, I think that technique is on the Gracie Combatives DVDs.
It might be. Yeah, it's a really good technique for sure. But yeah, so and people are talking about, regardless of how long we believe that Nicky Rod has been training or not, it's impressive that he took second place. I think, congratulations to him. But we've seen this before. Like he's just a newer version of a Jeff Monson, right? Where Jeff Monson came in and actually, he won he took first place. And I think he had a little bit more wrestling credentials and was able to score offensive points. So, for those of you that are saying, oh, this has never happened before, just go back and look at Jeff Monson's first Abu Dhabi. And I think
Kareem Barklev. Remember that?
Yes,
He's the guy that slapped the shit out of Verona.
We were referencing him last week, remember?
Oh, yeah. But he's another guy. I think he got silver his first year, and he had like zero jiu-jitsu skills.
Right.
I don't think he might not even been a wrestler. He was just like a sambo dude.
Okay. I thought he was a wrestler too, but I remember the South African guy you were referring, Mark Robinson. That's it. Yeah. The strongman type.
Yeah.
So that shows you, especially in no-gi grappling, that athleticism and strength can really take you much further than just pure jiu-jitsu technique.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you wanted to take a class with somebody, would you want to take a class with Nicky Rod or with Muhammad Ali? The grappler, not the boxer. Okay.
I was going to say, are you talking jiu-jitsu class?
Jiu-jitsu class, yeah.
Yeah.
No-gi grappling class.
Probably Ali. Most likely.
Right? Yeah.
Now, if I was going to take a class in confidence.
Nicky, how to be a Wilhelmina male model?
Yeah,
Nicky Rod's the guy.
For sure.
How to lift weights?
How to slap the shit out of people.
How to use your forehead as a battering ram? Nicky Rod. But hey, man, congratulations.
I like his attitude though. He like the week after Abu Dhabi, he does that wrestling match against Pat Downey, and those guys trained together a lot. I'm sure he knew what was going to happen.
Yeah. And that's just and now it's setting up a match between Downey possibly and Gordon Ryan, and I think it's smart for Downey because my understanding is the only reason he's on the world team right now is because Dake is out, injured.
Maybe. Dake or Taylor?
One of them, Dake or Taylor. I always get the two confused.
But still, Downey wrestled for third at the Worlds. I don't think he didn't win third, but
I think he took a medal at the Pans.
He wrestled for bronze at the Worlds.
Yeah.
So he's a good wrestler.
But I don't think he's good.
He's an interesting character. He's a funny character. He's cool.
Yeah, I think he's a Baltimore kid, which is interesting. Be More, home of The Wire.
Never seen it.
Never?
Never.
It's the greatest television show.
So everybody keeps saying. People say that. People seem to say that about a lot of television shows.
Well, what other television shows have they said that about?
They said about Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, The Sopranos.
Sopranos sucked. Game of Thrones is really good, but not the best. Breaking Bad was just okay.
These are all much like the greatest no-gi grappler of all time. These are very sort of like subjective opinions.
Yeah, I'm giving you mine.
Yeah.
So, as we were so prepared today.
Joker yesterday.
How was it? I want to go see the.
Fucking amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Were you worried at all? Because everyone's freaked out about people going crazy violent in the movie.
I'm always worried about that. I'm always worried that somebody's gonna come. Anytime I'm in public, I'm worried somebody's gonna come.
You shared an interesting story yesterday about you sitting. What movie was it?
I think it was Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
And I was worried that somebody's going to come in. I was there with friends, but I had to go sit near the exit because I was worried somebody's going to come in and shoot.
And you wanted to make sure that you survived while your friends died.
Well, I mean, I invited them to come with me, but
they weren't as fearful as you.
No. But I had heard the stuff about like people being worried, and I thought it was bullshit. But then as like towards the end of the movie, you're like, well, I could see somebody in this headspace getting into that headspace, and
during that movie, like you can have that kind of,
because I mean, it's sort of like a
coming of age story.
It's the coming of age story of like an incel kind of guy, So it was, and at the end he like kind of becomes the
super villain
the
of the
god
Joker.
of the incel. So it's like, yeah. So it's it was really good though. It's like a combination. Did you ever see The King of Comedy?
No, but
With Robert
people
De
are
Niro?
people
So
are talking about this.
It's got elements of like Taxi Driver,
okay.
Seven, The Machinist, The King of Comedy. It's like all these like crazy, creepy movies like mixed into one.
And the crazy thing is Todd Phillips directed it, who's notoriously known for comedy films.
He did. Oh, that was Todd Phillips. He
Yeah.
did Old School, right?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. And Wedding Crashers.
He's gotten out of comedy because, it's like you offend people by being funny now.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Because like this movie was. There's so much going on in this movie as far as like cultural stuff.
Okay.
It's super interesting. I found it.
Yeah, I was hoping to see it this weekend, but I didn't get a chance. Maybe
there's even some sort of like there's like class warfare. There's like a character that sort of reminds you of Trump. There's like it's good.
Worth seeing.
For sure. Everybody should see it.
Okay.
But it's like I love movies that are like you watching somebody like slowly descend into madness. This is really good. Super dark.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen any good movies that I could think of. I am listening, and I've told you that we're sharing things that we like. The podcast, if you're listening to any other podcast other than Ninja Rob and the Andocast, when I'll be on in a couple of weeks, is Swindled, about con men and hucksters and people that have gotten caught, with Ponzi schemes. It's very, very well done.
It's like I think it's like a vanishing art. It's so easy now. Like you used to be able to get away with that kind of stuff pre-internet because people couldn't Google you and find out. You could tell people crazy stories about who you were, and if you had some cash on you, you could make it seem like you were who you say you are.
Yeah, but if you're good at the internet, then you can you can massage some of that stuff.
And the other thing is like these guys, they don't go after somebody that they would do their due diligence and research.
I listened to the Bernie Madoff. It's called Ponzi Supernova on Audible. Did you listen to that?
Mm-mm.
So it's about Bernie Madoff, and he never dealt with smart money.
Yeah.
Right. He always dealt with greedy money.
Yeah. You can't cheat an honest man.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you don't have to worry about getting caught in any of these con schemes if you're not trying to make like what seems like too easy.
Right. Yeah. If somebody says that you're going to get 20% return on an investment, run.
Yeah.
So
unless one of us,
unless it's investing in the Ninja Rod Podcast Network, then you can make 20% weekly. All right.
More.
Yeah. Let's jump into we got the
questions.
Yeah.
All right. First question. This is anonymous. It's been anonymized. What is your opinion on secret techniques? Do you think it's better to keep it within your school to give them an edge, or should everyone know to raise the overall level of jiu-jitsu? With your upcoming seminar, should anything we learn from it be kept to ourselves?
Only if you want to. Yeah, I don't think there's no such thing as secret techniques.
There is no secret techniques.
No, it's just techniques that people do and may not have access to because they haven't learned it or seen it or have decided to reverse engineer it. But I don't think there's anything that's truly... I don't think that there's anything out there that we couldn't figure out given enough time and effort to try and reverse engineer it.
Right.
So, but there's also like, for years, again, we're referring back to John Danaher, what was going on in the basement with the heel hooks and all this other stuff. And then one day, here's his DVD set,
But I mean, nothing was really going on for a long time. There's been a couple guys that came out, and it's like, you could even just say like, those guys are really good. And they give all the credit to Danaher, which I believe he's a huge element of like what's going on in jiu-jitsu now. But it's not like that earth shattering. It's like I think he talked about it. Like he came into the scene and has had a huge impact, but that stuff has been around forever. There's always been leg lock guys,
right?
It's just a matter that we've ignored it. More so than
we've let certain aspects of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu culture dictate what moves that we think are good and not good, right? And I think leg locks fell into that. But there's no secret techniques. And if any of your instructors ever tell you that there's a secret technique, run.
And as just for like a personal philosophy, you should never rely on a trick. Like you shouldn't rely on the element of surprise is going to be like your key to victory.
Right.
like this move is going to work because no one knows it. Odds are somebody knows it.
Right. And the time, then when you do it, now that person knows it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you think these things work?
But it's funny because I heard Keenan was on the Flow Grappling podcast a while back, and he was talking about how he had been working on the worm guard for years. He said he specifically didn't use it as a brown belt in competition because he was like saving it for a black belt. And he was like, his first year at black belt, he was going to like trash people with it. It was like what his plan was.
Right.
He's like, he didn't really get a chance. But he did. I mean, I think his first year at black belt, he smoked Leandro Lowe with it. You know, like had him all twisted up in it. And people were like,
what is this?
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, people have been doing lapel stuff forever. He just systemized it and took a deep dive into saying, I'm going to dedicate hours to this to complicate something that is going to make it as good and maybe even more effective. Yeah. Now, there's no secret techniques, and you should never be afraid to share techniques with people, because a lot of times you'll end up learning something. Like they might give you a perspective on it that you hadn't thought about.
Right. With the release of the Danaher system hasn't made Gordon Ryan any less good.
No.
Right.
That's how you know somebody's good, is like they can show you. The best guys in the world are people that you know exactly what they're going to do, and they just do it.
They do it anyway.
Like it doesn't. Like you can't stop them from doing it.
Yeah,
and they're not catching you by surprise. It's like nobody's surprised that Gordon Ryan takes their back and then traps the arm, and then chokes them. You know. Next question. You want me to read it again?
Sure, because I don't have access to your phone.
Oh. Well, I mean, you emailed me the questions. You have access to the questions.
I do, but my phone is over there,
gotcha.
And you have your phone in your hand.
Gotcha. What is your opinion on the Logan Paul versus KSI boxing rematch being the main event on a championship boxing card? Does it cheapen combat sports or boxing? I hate when people ask like 50 questions. Is it insulting to the real deal athletes on the card? Is it a good way to get a new demographic interested in fighting? How do you feel about YouTubers doing boxing events in general? Last time these two fought, it was an amateur event, and the undercard were other YouTubers. Oxford, for life.
Man.
I don't know who that was, but I love them. Lots of no Oxford commas. Too many question marks.
Gotcha.
But
I don't even know who either of those guys are.
It's crazy that there's guys like, so these guys had like the biggest, I think it was bigger than the Mayweather McGregor match.
Really?
Yeah. Like it's two YouTubers. They each have like millions of subscribers.
Okay.
And they did an amateur boxing event and they promoted it themselves. And I think
who won?
I don't know. I think Logan Paul won.
All right.
But I don't even really know who Logan Paul is. I know the name, and I definitely don't know.
Was he the guy that got in trouble
was.
for videotaping in Japan
at the suicide forest?
At the suicide forest.
I don't know.
Okay.
I heard that story, but I don't know who that guy was.
Gotcha. Could be Logan Paul. Could be somebody else.
Yeah. Could be I don't know who KSI is.
Yeah, I thought that was a fighting organization in Poland. I think it's KSW.
KSW, yeah. So let's get to this guy's multitude of questions. Should it be, or what is our opinion on it being the main event on a championship boxing card? What's your opinion on two YouTubers fighting as the main event?
I wouldn't watch it. And if he's, I think his follow-up question is, do you think it'll bring more people to
Next one is, does it cheapen combat sports or boxing?
No, because it's all, every card is a carnival act.
I think
in one way or another.
But I think in general, it's better for the sport because it'll bring more, if people that are really into boxing or MMA, they're not interested in it.
Right.
So you're not going to like lose them.
They're going to go to the bathroom during that match.
They just won't watch, or but it might get somebody that is interested in YouTube that has never thought about boxing, and then they see it and they're like, oh, maybe I'll get into boxing.
But will it? Do you know what I'm saying?
It's a possibility.
Right. Do you know, like,
it's not likely.
That's the thing, is like they have these fantasies that they're going to bring 1 million YouTube watchers that are now going to, convert into boxing fans. Like how we've decided to run our show, right? We've decided not to, as a show, not to have a lot of guests on and not make it an interview show, because we don't want to have people come in, listen, and then not come back, right? Because they want to listen for who's on, right? And I think that's the thing that, like,
they're already listening for who's on.
Right, exactly. Right. 100%. But I don't think you can really build something special by having two idiots fight and build your brand that way.
It's like a secret technique.
Yeah.
You're not going to be good with cheap, having, celebrity boxing.
Right. Parlor tricks.
Yeah, like is anybody really excited for like a celebrity boxing event?
The bagel guy versus
like Lenny
Screech.
Dykstra.
Right. He's fighting Screech now.
Oh, okay.
Lenny
good.
Dykstra had to pull out. I think he had some sort of injury.
So does it cheapen combat sports?
No, because combat sports, by its nature, it's Barnum and Bailey.
Is it insulting to the real deal athletes on the card?
No, I think they probably enjoy it.
If anything, they'll probably make more money.
Right. And they get to, like, they probably, so people want to be around, like, who are, like, in celebritydom, right? It's the music people are the hottest people, right? Like rappers and rock stars.
Are they?
Usually, right? Like,
I don't know.
all right. So let's just go with it. Just say, right? If they are. But who do those guys look up to, right? Like, they want to be around fighters.
Yeah.
Right. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
gangsters or shit.
Exactly. Like, they want to be around tough guys.
Yeah.
So I think this is more exciting for Logan Paul to be next to Adrian Broner than it is for Adrian Broner to be next to Logan Paul.
Yeah.
If that was the card that the fight's on, I don't even know.
So is it a good way to get a new demographic? Probably not.
Yeah, I think they think it's a good way, but I don't think the demographic crosses over.
How do you feel about YouTubers doing boxing events in general? Like, we don't care.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. Since starting your BJJ lifestyles, have you noticed getting sick more or less often? With flu, cold season approaching, what is some general etiquette you'd like to tell people when it comes to staying healthy and missing class when you're sick?
When you're sick, stay home.
Yeah. I mean, that's general.
Just general life etiquette.
Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't get people sick.
Yeah. If you have a fucking.
Actually, no, I have a theory that the best way to get over being sick is to pass it on to somebody else.
Okay.
It's like heartbreak, AIDS.
Heartbreak, AIDS?
And AIDS.
Wait, like acquired immune deficiency
the best
syndrome?
way to get rid of an ailment is to give it to someone else.
So you get over AIDS by giving it to somebody else.
Yes, that's the cure.
We might want to call the CDC and let them know.
No, that was a joke, by the way. No, if you're sick, especially if you're sick and you're a member of my gym,
or if you have AIDS,
definitely stay home. But no, I haven't noticed getting sick less or more often. Definitely less. I rarely get sick. So
yeah, I think being around children gets you more sick than doing the jiu-jitsu lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure. They're disgusting.
They're just snot everywhere with kids.
General etiquette. Yeah, if you're sick, stay home. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Be clean. I like what the Asian cultures do, how they wear the masks.
I went to a steakhouse in New York that they had that.
Yeah. But they wear it if they don't wear it to avoid getting sick. They wear it to avoid getting other people sick.
That's good.
Yeah, like if you're sick, you would wear the mask. You don't wear it if like
somebody else is sick.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not like a protective thing. It's
right.
It's actually protecting other people from it. I think that's cool. It's very polite.
Do we have any other questions?
No, I only have those 3. You said there was 4?
Yeah, there was 4. So my buddy Larry Roberts from the Readily Random podcast, and I'm just paraphrasing because I thought I sent it to you, is he hasn't trained in like 10 or 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he had done some professional fighting, some jiu-jitsu, and he wanted to get some advice on, he's really out of shape, overweight, and like what advice would we give him to get back into the gym training and possibly rolling. I don't know if he's going to get into sparring at all, but like for somebody that's trained before, that was in really good shape and is now really deconditioned, what would
just go back to the gym? There's no what are you waiting for? Like, you obviously, like, if you're out of shape, you're not going to be able to push yourself the way you did, but
right.
You have to start by going to the gym. Actually, I mean, if you're eating like shit, you should start by just like trying to clean up your diet a little bit.
And he has done that, which like he and I talk, and I'm trying to like motivate him to get him back in, and he's done.
So that's the first
he's
step.
restricted his calories and all
but
that.
Then it's just a matter of showing up at the gym and doing a class. You'll break a sweat in the class. Your body will start to get back used to moving and straining a little bit. You don't even have to do any rolling.
But go in with the mindset that you're going to be sore the next day. It's going to suck. You're going to be winded. Like, don't go in there that all this is going to be a surprise.
Yeah, it's punishment for letting yourself go.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
Look at it that way.
You're punishing the fat cells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get annoyed with people like, I want to come in and do it, but first I want to
get in shape.
First I got to do this. Like,
right.
Full of shit.
Not
that Larry's full of shit. I'm just saying.
He might be. I don't know.
He could
He's from
be.
Texas.
But if you're serious and you want to get back into it, all you got to do is show up to a gym.
Just do it.
And start doing it.
And most good gyms will be accommodating to whatever fitness level you're in.
Yeah, I do that with, especially when people come in for the Muay Thai class, because we do a pretty rigorous warm-up with some conditioning. And I always tell people, especially if they're like guys that are like between 25 and 35 that used to work out, I tell them like, hey, don't do what everybody else is doing. I was like, you're just going to do 10 squats, 10 push-ups, and 10 crunches. That's it. And you just keep doing that for 5 minutes. Because I've had several people come in and be like, no, I'm good. I used to play football. Right. And they're like turning green 2 minutes into the conditioning circuit. You know? Yeah. So a good gym will bring you up and build you up, not just sort of just throw you to the wolves.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, man, like you're saying, I think the most important thing is to take that step and join and start taking class. Mm-hmm. The rest of it will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Like you said.
That's the good thing about it. You just gotta
show up.
It'll build on itself.
You don't even like when you go to Planet Fitness, you have to figure out what you're doing.
Right.
If you walk into a Muay Thai or Jiu-Jitsu school, they've already figured out what you're doing.
And if you're really concerned about it, just tell them when you show up, like, hey, look, I haven't trained in years. I'm really out of shape.
I think they'll be able to notice.
Right. And they'll probably, I would love to hear that from somebody. Like, and he's probably not, it'll probably come back way, way quicker than he thinks.
Yeah. No, and I think he's doing a good job. He's down some weight, and, I'm happy for him because he does a really good
Larry
job.
Roberts.
No, I should get you on his podcast, Readily Random.
Why? What's so good about his podcast?
It's very well done. He's super professional. He's got a lot of listeners. He talks to a bunch of different people about a bunch of different stuff, but he's a huge MMA fan. So
okay,
yeah. So I'll talk to him. I'll request.
Where is he?
He's in Texas.
I gotta go to Texas.
If you wanted to, but you could do it from your computer at home. That's how I did the interview with him. So the last thing I wanted to talk about before we sign off on air was something that Tim and I were talking about before we got into the studio was the lifestyle that we lead of kind of liberated and free, right? And how much actual money would we need to have if we didn't do what we did for a living to live the same lifestyle, right? Like this morning I woke up and my wife's like, don't worry about it. I could take the kids to school, right? So she took the kids to school and I watched something on my computer, figured I had to take care of something for my mom, and then stop by the corner store, and I'm here at 10 a.m. and then I'm going to pick up something at the supply house, and then go back to Philly, pick up my kids from school, then teach tonight at 6.
Right. You got nothing. You basically have a free day until your Monday is free until 6 p.m.
Basically, yeah.
Same with me.
Yeah.
7 p.m.
Right. I think actually 5:15 for me. But anyway, I digress. And it's amazing how liberating that is for me that I can,
especially with your kids. You got kids.
Yes.
So like I heard there's a guy I follow on Instagram, Dave Tate. He makes weightlifting equipment.
Is he related to Terry Tate?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But
the office linebacker.
His
Terry
Instagram
Tate's the office linebacker.
Elite FTS. So he makes like powerlifting equipment.
Okay.
And that's his business. And he's like, I've been in business for 20 years. It's been like extremely hard, and I don't necessarily make a lot of money, but he's like, I've never missed my kid getting off the school bus. So he's like, that's like worth it to me. So it's
100%.
Like, you know what I mean? So regardless of the amount of money you make, because like there's not a ton of money to be made in just having a jiu-jitsu school. Like you're not going to become.
I'm not on the road to billions.
Probably not.
Okay.
Not through your jiu-jitsu school. Maybe through this podcast, but.
And some sort of Ponzi scheme.
But like the lifestyle that comes along with it is like you kind of have the life of what everybody assumes a millionaire lives like.
Right.
Like
I think you billionaires, right? Because millionaires probably work harder than billionaires, some of them.
And the truth is, a billionaire, those guys usually, in my opinion, they probably work a good amount. They're You don't get to be a billionaire unless you inherit it by being lazy, like I am.
Right.
You know, like you just said, like on your Monday off, you're gonna drive around a little bit, pick some stuff up, watch some stuff on your computer. You know, Elon Musk's not doing that.
No, he's definitely right. He's figuring out how he can land Falcon 3 on Mars.
Right. But yeah, it's
like, and how often Like, how many people do you know that have regular 9 to 5s that get to hang out with their friends basically every day and do an activity with them that
Unless
they really
do
enjoy doing?
jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai every day, not many of them.
Right? Or I guess maybe CrossFitters or have a similar.
Yeah.
But you don't, as much as like CrossFit has the culture, like I don't think there's that same connection.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
No. It's just like CrossFit, you get like drinking buddies kind of.
Gotcha.
But jiu-jitsu, you make just like lifelong friends.
100%. Yeah, even like the people that don't do jiu-jitsu, like even if they stop, they continue to be your friends.
Yeah. But yeah, it's the greatest. That was like one of my my goals in life was to not have to like work like a real job.
Right.
So far, so good.
Yeah, I don't think you've never worked an actual office job, right, or anything.
No, I did like security work at an office building once for a few days, but I never actually worked in the office.
Right.
I sat at a few desks to take naps.
Right. So, and that's the beauty when you kind of have picked a life and work that can afford you that.
But it's also it's a huge trade-off because you don't get the sort of stability and security that comes along with, or the perceived stability and security that comes along with having like a normal job.
Yeah, man. But we talked to Meathead Matt and what he does for a living, right? And it's like what security do you have when guys above you can just look at you as a number and cut you out because you just make too much money or because you're not integral to what's going on?
I mean, that's why I said perceived security.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no job for life.
Not nowadays. No.
Yeah.
But I've also heard it's very hard to fire people in those corporations, like big corporations.
Yeah, I don't know. Never.
Like it's
never
a whole
fired.
process you got to go through to fire people.
But I think downsizing is different, right? Like,
you just get cut.
Yeah, you just cut. It's like, okay, that's you're not integral to what we're doing. But that's something kind of the freedom that you have, right? And the just to walk around. Like, who tells you what to do, other than Nicolette?
Nobody.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I'm beholden to very few people, right? You're beholden to your students because you want to give them a really good product and good classes and a good experience, but they don't tell you what to do, right? They expect something from you. Like nobody tells us what to do because we have the ability to run our own businesses and make our own decisions and that kind of thing.
Well, that's not for everybody.
No, it's not. I don't think it
Some
should be.
people, the world couldn't run without people that need to be told what to do.
Right.
And want to be told what to do and want to like sort of like follow along with things.
Yeah.
So it's not for everybody.
But if
definitely for me, definitely for you.
Yeah. And I think if you're thinking about getting into any kind of your own business, just make sure you got all your shit straight.
And yeah, I think a lot of people think like when you're in business, like as soon as you like the day you open your own business, you're rich.
No.
I think a lot of people think that.
It's the exact opposite.
Yeah. It's like you're usually in the hole.
Right.
And you just spend the rest of your life getting out of it.
But you know what's crazy is that when you work for somebody else, like being broke is you're so scared of it. But when you work for yourself or you have your own business, you just realize that that's just a place to rebound from.
Yeah. Yeah. You realize,
I've been here before.
Yeah.
I've been broke before. I can get back from this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Being broke's not bad. Even I think Mike Tyson said he was happier when he was broke.
Yeah.
Seems pretty happy nowadays though.
I love Mike Tyson. If I could hang out with that guy for an hour, I would be.
I don't
be
think
the
you would
greatest.
like it. He smokes too much weed.
I have nothing against weed.
I think he would make you smoke it too.
There would be a guy that
You would smoke weed with Mike Tyson?
I've never smoked weed in my life. If I had to hang out with Mike Tyson and one of the caveats was you got to smoke weed, I'm sorry, I'm smoking weed with Mike Tyson. Like that's something that you got to, like, how could you not smoke weed with Mike Tyson?
Somebody get Mike Tyson on the phone. You got to have him on the podcast.
All right, folks, November 17th, my youngest son's birthday. We will be celebrating
In honor
of the Ninja. We'll be having the Ninja Rob seminar.
of JP.
That is JLP. Dev Wade, are you going to come to the seminar? People are going to want to meet you.
Sure.
They're going to want to know how your asshole's doing. So November 17th, go to ninjarob.com/seminar. Make sure you register. If you're not registered, you won't be able to go. We have a couple other things in the works. And anything else, Tim Dog?
No, that's it.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
Tim and I would like to thank our sound engineer and studio owner, Devin Wade, for always doing a great job with the sound, but also the beautiful facility that we get to use here at SFX Studios. We'd also like to thank Eddie Lynn, who takes and donates his time to the podcast to do all the video editing and everything you see on our social media. So really appreciate that from Eddie Lynn. And we'd also like to thank our friend Ralphie Darden, aka DJ Major Taylor, who gave us the original music that we use. So you're welcome, Tim.
And almost just as importantly as everybody else that he mentioned, we would like to thank all of our listeners that submitted questions.
This is the Ninja Rop Podcast with Marco Perazzo and Tim Carpenter, the podcast for the true martial artist.